it's Kim Arnold here, and welcome to another of my scrapbooking process layouts. Today I'm using the Cocoa Vanilla Studio These Days collection. It's going to have a mixed media background, which I'm going to do first, and is a grid style layout of 4 boxes of squares, of pattern paper from the 6x8 pattern paper book, which I'm going to use, and I'm going to put this mixed media behind those squares. So it's just going to create like a soft border that will appear around the outside of the grid of the layout. I'm making the mixed media with Vicki Boutin crayons, art crayons. I've only recently got these and I do really like them. The pigment is gorgeous in them. So I'm simply putting some of the pigment from several different crayons onto my mixed media mat and then blending them together with some water to create a colour. You can see I use a bit of paper from time to time. That's just checking that the colour works with the patterned paper colours. And then I'm using the packaging technique to move the art crayon mixture onto my background paper, which I am using Vicki Boutin Foundations paper. I say this in all my videos, but I absolutely love this for doing mixed media on because it really does handle the water. You will see as I'm applying the art crayons now, I am adding quite a lot of water as I work. That helps the pigment to move around on the background and gives you a lovely, soft, cloudy effect. So once I had enough of the art crayon mixture onto the background paper, I've been using my small round paintbrush and my Tim Holtz spritz bottle, and I've been spritzing on water, adding more art crayon mixture and creating splatters with my paintbrush. If I get too much water on the layout, I just use a piece of paper towel to mop up the extras so that it doesn't run off the edge, because I am adding quite a lot of water to this. Also, because I don't want the colour to end up too dark. The These Days collection is very soft and very pastel. And so if I created a really bright, dominant mixed media background, it wouldn't enhance the layout, it would take away from it. So I'm mopping up some of the extra ink and water there, rolling my paper towel over it just to dry off and take away some of the pigment. Did end up taking away a little bit too much on that left-hand side. So I've ended up going back and adding a few more splatters. And these are the 4 squares of patterned paper that I'm going to be using. So I'm just checking that the amount of mixed media I've got works. And then I'm going to set that aside in front of my little blow heater. It's cold here. I'm in New Zealand and it's winter and it is very chilly at the moment. And while that dries, I'm moving on to making a shaker box. I am using a frame die cut from the die cut pack. Making shaker boxes is my new favourite thing to do. The way I go about it is using a bit of wet adhesive behind the die, and I attach a piece of clear acetate to the back of the die cut. The acetate I use is simply the acetate that can be run through a laser printer. And so I just cut a square of that, attach it with wet glue, as I said, behind the die cut. And then I'm using foam tape. And because my foam tape, this particular foam tape is quite thin, I'm folding it over to create a bit of a thicker foam tape behind the die cut. And then I'm going to fill it up with sequins and glass beads. So I've got a mixture of pink, I think a pale ambery gold and clear glass beads that I'm adding into this shaker pocket. But you can add in anything that will work with a layout. I've got a vast collection of sequins because I love all things sparkly. And this is just such a great way to use up some of that collection. So, I mean, you can use beads, you could use art stones, you can use sequins, glitter, anything that takes your fancy. What's important to remember is making sure that your foam tape meets edge to edge around the back so that you don't have bits falling out afterwards. You can either stick pattern paper on the back of the shaker box, but I actually prefer to put another sheet of clear acetate, and then you can actually see through the shaker box to what's behind it on the layout. My background is now dry, so I've just trimmed off the selvage strip, and now I'm just distressing the edges of those 4 squares. I'm about to cut out a bit of this because I don't think you really need to see me distress all 4 squares. And there they are, distressed, ready to go. And now I'm going to back them with some craft foam sheets. So I just cut that to size. Some of the stuff I've got self-adhesive, some of it's not. So this one's not. So I'm just using my art glitter glue to stick that craft foam sheet onto the back of each of those squares. Just gives dimension, and then you get a lovely little shadow line around those squares. And so it's a relatively simple design, this, with the 4 squares. And so the dimension gives it added interest and texture. I want them to be a fairly casual positioning, so I'm not measuring to make sure they're centre. I'm just eyeing it off. I'm also not trying to get them straight. So I'm doing everything crooked intentionally, which is a little bit challenging for me, but I am trying to get more relaxed about this. So I'm just eyeballing to make sure that it's relatively in the centre. The shaker pocket's going to go in the top right quadrant, and the photo will sit over the 2 left quadrants. And then I'm going to embellish this layout with some of the beautiful die cuts that are in this range. To pop the photo up, I'm using some more craft foam sheet. This one's adhesive, so it just sticks straight down onto the photo. The little shaker pocket up there, and I'm going to embellish it with a little scene with a house and some flowers, etc., that are in the die cut pack. As I said, they are gorgeous. I should have bought a couple of packs of them because they are really, really lovely. So the little house is going next to the shaker pocket. Then there's this beautiful vase of flowers, which I'm sitting behind the house. I'm just using foam tape to pop things up so that they're at the same levels. So the house is at the same level as the shaker pocket, and the vase is at the same level as the background paper. I've decided this bottom square isn't quite where I want it, and so I just lift it up before it's fully grabbed with the glue and reposition it. Didn't seem to change the location much, but I'm happier with where the new spot is. I've got another die cut which I'm using as the title for this layout, which is just a little phrase. And then I have one of the journaling cards which has a really beautiful little quote on it. And because it's too bulky for this layout, I'm actually just cutting it up. So there's a tip: if you've got journaling cards or die cuts and you like something that's on it but it's too big, cut it up and use it how best suits you for your layout. So I've just cut this phrase up and stuck it down the side of the shaker box. And so I get the phrase, but I don't get that heavy, bulky look with what would be with a whole journaling card. So I'm really happy with how that looks. Now I'm just going through more of the die cuts to find some extra pieces to embellish this layout with. So these are some of the beautiful florals from the floral die cut and a cluster of florals from the other die cut pack. So there's actually 2 packs of die cuts in this range. And so I'm creating a layered floral cluster using the different layers created by the photo, the paper and the background paper. So the cluster, although they're quite flat flowers because they're die cuts, I can get that dimension by sitting things at the various different levels of the layout. And you can see there that some of the flowers are dropped back and there's shadows as it layers up over the layout. So that's a great way to get dimension in your die cut flowers when they're flat. So I'm going to add some more die cuts now, another little flower over near where the title die cut is, and I'm going to add a tag, I believe, to the top. Yep, so this is off the sticker sheet, a little tag off the sticker sheet. I'm going to stick that at the top of the photo, and then, so I'll stick that behind the little tab that's at the top of the photo, creating more layers. Interest in your scrapbooking layouts is created by layers. So in this layout, you can see that I've got the mixed media, then I've got the paper, then I've got a tag, a little tab piece, and then the photo, and then flowers. So there's lots and lots of different layers around the photo and under the photo. So I'm just sticking down all the little pieces to create that phrase. And I also added some twine to the tag to finish that tag off. Sticking down the photo now in place, making sure I'm happy with where everything is. Now sticking down the title, again using some foam, some of that craft foam sheet to pop the title up so that it's the same height as the photo because it's on that level, and then the flower and the little leaf will go next to it. Now the leaf I felt was too big, so I've just cut it down and I'm just using the top of it, and so now it creates just that little leaf poking out, which I love. And now I'm going to add, I believe these are some of the puffy stickers. Super, super cute little puffy stickers in this range. You can see them there on that clear sheet. So I'm adding some more little flowers, hearts, a little butterfly up there near the flowers, a little heart on the door of the house, and a little heart next to the flower cluster, but I think I changed my mind and moved that. Now I'm going to start sticking down those flowers, and I've edited that all out because you knew where the flowers went and you didn't need to see me put foam tape on all of those. And now I'm finishing the layout off with some of the clear stickers. So there's a flower, excuse me, and some little clear hearts. And so again, this is creating just more layers and interest in the layout. I thought about putting a flower there, didn't like it, took it away, put it back on the clear sticker sheet. You know, auditioning pieces on your layout's fine. Just because you pull something out doesn't mean that you have to use it. And that's a little tree puffy sticker. It is super duper cute, but everything in this range is. I just love it. And some more stickers there. Now, I thought I was finished. I did add some stickles to the centres of all the flowers, but then I decided that it needed just a touch of something else. And in one of the cut apart sheets had a strip of a really lovely plaid pattern paper which had all the colours from the layout on it. So I've actually just trimmed away in the top left corner. I have trimmed away a section of the layout, and in the bottom right corner. Now I find with the Foundations paper it's so heavy that you have to cut it. You can't just rip it and fold it up. And I quite like this effect. So I cut a bit away and then distress it quite heavily, and then stick a piece of pattern paper behind it. And just that little bit of interest of the pattern paper peeking out, I find works so well on layouts, just to finish off the edges. So you can see there that those colours in that plaid pull out all the colours of the layout. So that's a great option for sticking behind those cutout pieces. And you can see also the stickles there and the little shaker box, which is super cute. And that's it. Thank you. There's some still shots now. Thank you very much for joining me today for this process layout. If you like it, please press like below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I look forward to catching up with you all again soon. Thank you.